Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, providing more than 41,000 jobs in the production of wood pallets, railroad ties, white oak barrels, hardwood floors, and more. Details at choosewood.com.
I had always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I was way too scared. And just something struck me, and I saw this note in my phone that said magnetic pillow fort that I'm sure I wrote down while I was watching my daughter and my wife play with pillows and blankets. I woke up one day and I said, I think I can actually do it. I think I can do it. And at the same time, when I lost my job, I got just enough severance, and at basically selling my car, actually, we're a one-car family now.
Wow.
Selling my car and using that severance money was the startup money that I needed.
I'm Sarah Fensky. This is St. Louis on the Air. St. Louis resident Conor Lewis had one of Kickstarter's biggest toy fundings ever last week. In its first 24 hours on the crowdfunding site, his pitch won $2 million in investment. It's only continued to climb. As of showtime, it was up to $2.48 million, the biggest Kickstarter on the site right now, and the second biggest toy launch in the site's history. And this Kickstarter still has 24 days to go. So what made it rain for this fledgling entrepreneur? I've got 3 words for you: magnetic pillow fort. And joining us today with all the details is Conor Lewis. He is the founder of Fort. Conor, welcome.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And I think magnetic pillow fort are the 3 magic words, it seems like.
Those are the 3 magic words, at least as far as Kickstarter went last week. I mean, this was an amazing launch here. Did you think a week ago you'd be sitting on more than $2 million in investment?
It did exceed my expectations, of course. We had a very realistic idea of what we thought was possible with about 24 hours on the platform Kickstarter. And I would say we more than doubled what I thought was possible.
Wow. So you came in with, this wasn't you weren't just throwing a figure at the wall. You had a business plan here, but this did even better than you thought it would.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people have asked, hey, did you think you were going to raise? I think the official number was $2.2 million in under 10 hours was what we kind of benchmarked at. And then that $2.2 million held for the next 12 or 14 hours. And so we had a really strong idea. This wasn't like, oh, let's throw it up on Kickstarter. We were very strategic about it. We had built a really big following on Facebook. And, it still, even then, it still exceeded our expectations. Well,
so tell us about this magical product that has Kickstarter just going crazy. What does this magnetic pillow fort consist of?
So, it is incredibly simple on its face and in description. It quite literally is a set of 12 blocks, and they stack into this nice little tower. And we basically took kind of the... if you know, like child's daycare blocks, we basically took that idea, made them a little bit bigger, so the blocks are actually kind of based off of the size of quite literally your sofa cushion. So we took a sofa cushion made specifically for children to be beat up on top of, and we added magnets in just the right places and just with enough fun shapes to be able to kind of create whatever your imagination can desire.
I think anybody with a kid and with a couch can understand how this is the magic formula here. But, you have the prototype of this, and you can see it on the Kickstarter website, kids playing with it. Was it hard to get the balance of having a strong enough magnet that it would stick together without having too strong a magnet? You're dealing with kids here. You need to make sure they can't get stuck.
I cannot even tell you how hard that is. There's something so simple about foam and fabric, and then you add this kind of like scientific, everything is science, but you add this very specific scientific thing like a magnet, and it's a really delicate balance to walk. A really strong magnet are incredibly dangerous, and then really weak magnets barely do anything. And magnets almost think, the more people I run into and talk about magnets, they almost seem like magic to us. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's a fault of the education system, but that's a whole nother conversation. But they really are incredible, and it's surprising how big you have to get them to kind of fight through the fabric and connect to each other. So we spent a long time researching magnets. We eventually had to actually make our own custom magnet.
So you made your own custom magnet.
Yeah.
Do you have any history of magnet manufacturing where you even knew how to do that?
I don't know. Of course not. No, this was all completely made up on the fly. I credit. I went to art school initially, and I credit learning how to think creatively and solve problems, kind of almost thinking upside down with how to create this product, because you find a factory and you work with that factory, and really you're coming in the door with all the ideas, and they're just executing for you. So no, I did not know magnets. I had to learn very quickly and do a lot of testing and a lot of ordering, and magnets are, as I've learned pretty quickly, are not cheap, and it takes a ton of magnets. I think right now, if we were to just stop the Kickstarter, we would be manufacturing somewhere around 1 million magnets.
Wow. So that's it's not cheap, and as you say, hard to get the exact one you want. And as it should become clear from hearing you talk about this project, this again is not just as simple as, hey, let's put up a Kickstarter. I understand the pandemic is responsible for you going all in on this and all the work and R&D you put into magnets. What were you doing before the coronavirus upended everything?
I had a really great job working for a high net worth individual who was really invested in a small town near St. Louis, and I had a wonderful time working for him and helping a team. I was kind of one of the younger kids on the team, helping him do a lot of creative projects. He invested in a lot of real estate, and it was a great training ground. It was almost like being an entrepreneur, but with a huge safety net, right? I had a salary, the 401k. And, when the coronavirus hits, my wife was pregnant with our second child about April, and through no fault of my past company, it was an easy way to cut costs. And I, being a trained creative, I was basically in marketing and video production and things like that. The creative industry was hit really hard early in the coronavirus. People making videos, people doing social media, that's not essential when you're trying to survive, right? Mm-hmm. So just like many other creatives, especially in the St. Louis area, I got laid off and took a few months to kind of figure out what to do with my life. Looking at a just under 2-year-old and a pregnant wife who was still working, being the main source of income for our family. And I woke up one day and it struck me that I want to be an entrepreneur. I had always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I was way too scared. And just something struck me, and I saw this note in my phone that said magnetic pillow fort that I'm sure I wrote down while I was watching my daughter and my wife play with pillows and blankets, doing what every parent does, is make little pillow forts with their kids. And that's kind of where it came from.
Wow, so you wrote this note at some point. You must have had so much else going on. You didn't even stop to think about it, but it was there in your subconscious calling you.
I had been a big fan of podcasts and worshiping, the tech gods in Silicon Valley and dreaming what it would be like, but I was always too scared. And I had this really cozy job, and a few months after kind of losing my job, and I knew when I lost my job, I said to myself, I'm not ready to start a company. I didn't really believe in myself, and it quite literally struck me. I woke up one day and I said, I think I can actually do it. I think I can do it. Wow.
And so you went for it. And as you said, you put some investment into this. I mean, was that something where the severance came in handy?
Oh, it was a godsend in a lot of ways. We had just finished rehabbing an old house in the Shaw neighborhood north of Tower Grove Park in the city, and we had some tax credit money for our house because we had some major repairs. And at the same time, when I lost my job, I got just enough severance, and that basically selling my car, actually, we're a one-car family now.
Wow.
Selling my car and using that severance money was the startup money that I needed to start Fort in the beginning, yeah.
Wow, this is such an inspirational story. It's so striking how you took some adverse circumstances and man, you really bootstrapped this thing. Now you've got more than 8,000 backers on board for this. In some ways, as much as that's exhilarating, is that also a little scary?
It is. I'm 50-50 terrified and exhilarated. And I think the reason is, when I was launching this, we got traction earlier than I was ready. And that was very scary. Being a creative, a trained creative, traditionally or historically in my life, you get a lot of time sitting at your computer screen. You get a lot of time thinking by yourself. But all of a sudden, I opened this Facebook group, and I may be getting ahead of the story, but it taught me how to interact with customers, and it taught me how to be engaged with people, and kind of put me on the spot a little bit in a good way. So. It is really scary to think about fulfilling these orders and making something happen that I have never done before. And at the same time, I am incredibly stoked to be doing it. It is such a fun challenge.
So this Facebook group, the idea there was to sort of build some buzz and help create the successful Kickstarter. But it sounds like people were just so excited about this idea.
Yeah, and I think COVID and the pandemic has been a really, that's kind of the blessing in disguise for me, not only because I did lose my job and it kind of pushed me here, but also because just like so many other parents, trapped at home. Mm-hmm. And it sparks ideas. It sparks mostly exhaustion, if I'm honest. But we basically launched online with a prototype, and it was a pretty good sample. We were not, we were only a month or two away from having basically the full production model done. And I posted a Facebook ad. I was very new to running Facebook ads. And someone emailed me from the Facebook ad and said, hey, I really like this. This is similar to a few other products. I don't know if you've heard of the Nugget Couch, having this crazy rise in popularity. It's basically just kind of a bifold couch with triangle pillows. They were like, oh, it's kind of similar to that. People are dying over that Nugget product. Can I ask you some questions about it? This person took the questions I answered for her and some of the pictures I sent to her because she was interested. And in 24 hours, I had 1,500 people signing up to my email list, and that only scaled as we went. We ended, we didn't end, but right when we launched the Kickstarter campaign, we had 80,000 people on our email list.
Wow. I mean, this just seems like I've interviewed so many people who have pretty good ideas and are trying to find ways to launch it and get people interested, and it's such an uphill battle. It seems like this idea that you just jotted down in the notes on your phone, this is the thing every American parent wanted right now.
It really, I think it's multifaceted. The Nugget, this couch that has gone viral, really lended to that. So I got to kind of trade on the hype of that. Not only that, but there's a kind of a universality I've learned to this fort building. And now, of course, I'm making a somewhat premium product and selling it online. So there, but I think it remains very true that most kids are ripping cushions off of couches. It seems to be happening.
It's the truth universally acknowledged. You see a couch, you want to rip it up.
Yeah,
well, when
and
you're
there's
a kid,
a virality to it as well. The magnets and things, that certainly helps.
Well, so look, you've got 24 days left of this Kickstarter. What happens after that? What does your timeline look like to actually bring the fort to living rooms all over America?
Yeah, so that is a great question, and we do get that a lot currently. So, of course, I am new to production, but as you can tell, I'm fairly diligent in my work. So what we're going to do is basically, after this Kickstarter, while we're fully funded, of course, we want to raise a little bit more money. The margin was really low the first few days. We knew it would be low. So we mostly are trying to raise a little bit more money. So we have a little bit of a cushion to sit on to keep the company floating. And we're going to go and start doing production. I'm going to work with a consultant to help me kind of work on things. We're manufacturing in China, so there's a lot of work to do there and learn the process. It's been really fun, genuinely. I can't say enough about how much kind of being a global citizen and doing something, it gets a lot of flack, and I just have enjoyed the process so much, learning different cultures and languages and working with people all over the world. And so basically we're going to spend the next few months just going through production and kind of inviting our Kickstarter backers into that process by taking pictures. Hopefully, if I can personally get vaccinated at some point, I wish,
Wouldn't
TBD.
that be nice?
Yeah. Well, and I know I'm not essential, so I certainly want those who need it to do it. But I'd love to go to China and kind of document the process and really invite these special people who lent me their backing to go through the production process. And we hope to ship between July and October.
So as you sort of alluded to there with the mention of the vaccine, which looms so big for so many of us right now, you're doing this at just a really strange time to be doing anything. What do you see as the biggest challenge for you in terms of being able to deliver this product on the timeline you're looking for?
COVID remains the biggest challenge. That is true. We had a sample that got stuck at an airport internationally somewhere, and just because they decided to close the airport because of an outbreak. So that kind of remains the number one fear. But beyond that, everything is going, I feel like will move pretty smoothly. The pandemic, the biggest challenge, which is a really boring challenge, is basically the cost of things. You're looking at about 4 times the cost to import something on the ocean or over air. And so, it's just a really huge hurdle that we've had to try and overcome, and that we're going to continue to work with really, hopefully, smarter people than me to work with to figure that out. So really the fulfillment part historically of Kickstarter has been the challenge. A lot of people raise a lot of money and they kind of get too big for their britches, and they are unable to fulfill a really poorly made product. And we're doing everything we can to do quality control and figure out how we can keep shipping costs low to make sure the customer gets it.
Well, Conor Lewis, it's been great to hear about these plans, and it's so exciting to hear about this magnetic pillow fort. I want to thank you so much for joining us today and wish you the best of luck.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah.
This is St. Louis on the Air on St. Louis Public Radio, 90.7 KWMU.
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations. And leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thanks.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association. Missouri produces wood pallets, railroad ties, white oak barrels, hardwood floors, and more. Details on the variety of products made in the state are at choosewood.com.